The sound of 5,000 people praying at once sounded like a roaring ocean, but to Thomas, it just sounded like static. He stood on the brightly lit stage of the Metro Faith Center, strumming the final acoustic chords of the worship set. As the youth pastor and worship leader, his face was projected onto two 50-foot LED screens. He looked the part, eyes closed, head bowed, a picture of deep spiritual intimacy. But inside, his chest felt like an empty tomb. He hadn't felt the presence of God in 2 years. "Thank you, Jesus," Thomas murmured into the microphone, his voice dripping with a warmth his heart didn't possess. "We open our hearts to you tonight." He stepped off the stage, handing his guitar to a stagehand, and retreated down the quiet back hallway toward his office. The cheers of the congregation faded behind the heavy fire doors. He slumped into his leather chair, staring at the shelf of theology books he no longer believed. He was a professional believer, paid to manufacture an atmosphere of faith for others while starving to death on the inside. A sharp knock broke the silence, the door opened, and Pastor David walked in. David was the senior leader, a man whose spiritual authority was unquestioned in the city, but tonight David looked shaken. He closed the door completely, locking it. "Thomas," David said, his voice unusually tight. "I need you to pray for me." Thomas managed a hollow smile. "Always, Pastor." "What's going on?" "The sermon tonight was powerful." "Was a performance," David said flatly, walking over to the window and staring out at the crowded parking lot. "I haven't prayed in private for 6 months, Thomas. When I stand on that stage, I look at the crowd and I feel nothing. I look at the scriptures and they just look like ink on paper. I'm preaching a God I'm not even sure is listening anymore." Confession hit Thomas like a physical blow. The pillar of the church, the man who had laid hands on him and ordained him, was drowning in the exact same dark water. "David," Thomas stammered, his mask slipping. I don't know what to tell you. I'm in the exact same place. I haven't felt a thing since my sister died in the hospital 2 years ago. I've just been acting." David turned around, his eyes wide with a mixture of horror and profound relief. "You too?" Before Thomas could answer, the air in the office grew suddenly dense. The lights overhead didn't flicker. They deepened, casting shadows that seemed too sharp to be real. In the center of the room, the space began to warp. A figure materialized, standing between the two men. It wasn't an angel with white wings or a demon with horns. It looked like a man made of pure, shifting starlight, but its face was obscure, like looking through a frosted window. The entity looked at David, then turned its gaze toward Thomas. When it spoke, the voice didn't come through the ears. It resonated inside their skulls. "Asterisk, the church is built on the prayers of the desperate," the being said, its voice like grinding tectonic plates. "But the sanctuary is being choked by the